Okay, we're here for another episode. This is yesterday's snacks, and read you the little poetry I wrote for snacks. Wild trails, cookies, sweet, family memories, nourishment for the soul. Okay, we're gonna do this remote theme with a very remote village up in somewhere where there's lots of snow and where there's lots of white background. And I'm going to use ink to draw. Normally, a scene like this, it's not very suited for ink drawing because the ink is too dark and pen tends to spoil the pristine white, obviously, because I'm using black. Well, I guess you could use gray for your ink, and maybe that would work better. I certainly would think that is an idea worth trying. But anyway, coming back to our sketch here, I'm just following the sort of little doodles of the buildings, the church, the trees, and the backdrop, which basically are mountain uh, areas. And they are very simple to draw, they are not very complicated. You just need to give a sense of distance in a simple sketch like this, something in the background, something in the midground, something in the foreground, and I think you'll be fine. So by drawing very simply and trying to understand what are the planes, in other words, the background, midground, foreground of the components of this sketch, hopefully you'll be able to create a little bit of a distance and a little bit of form. In other words, three-dimensional sense in a two-dimensional piece of paper. I did some really quick squiggles on in front, sorry, at the back as a background. I'm dropping in a bit of a cobalt green and a bit of rich green, and then I dab in a bit of my yellow, lemon yellow, a bit of queen gold, and I'm gonna set it to dry. Now, when it's completely dry, then I'll come back. So here it is. It's very, very dry, and I'm just gonna get back to putting in the background with a little bit of a texturing with my tissue. Dab it, dab it, dab it. A little bit darker on top, a little bit whiter at the bottom, just like how I see it in the photograph. And in the same way, a bit darker in the mountain in front. There's a bit of a sunlight coming through. So I use tissue to kind of indicate that as well. One of the things that you have to be very careful when you're painting a snowy, sort of snowy white scene is to make sure that you don't use white for everything. There's always shades of white. There's a little bit of a yellowy white. There's a bit of brownish white. There's a bit of greenish white, bluish white, purplish white. Um, you know, recognize those little tint of colors of white is very important. In this case, the color scheme is green and brown. I mean, green and brown is like the most obvious combination in nature because, green and brown, right? Trees, tops are green and the trunks are brown and so on and so forth. So, it works to very easy and very simple to the eye simply because it's so natural and it's so it's just something that our mind and our brain perceive really, really well. So when all else fails, that's the color. So honestly, I think that's about all that you need to do. The rest of the stuff are texturing and little doodles to what? Well, to make your objects more readable. In other words, ignore the photo at this point. All you need to do is really look at a sketch and say, do you believe what you see here is a church? Do you believe what you see here is a tree? Do you believe what you see here is a house? And if you don't, then you need to do something to the little object, the little shape, by making it more believable. You need to learn to make things more believable for your audience. It's called readable. When it's more readable, it becomes a more believable sketch. So, all right, that's it. That's all that I have for you this on this episode. Stay safe wherever you are. This is We Take Out.